Coil Master. Yeah, we all recognise the name. We're looking at a couple of Coil Master accessories. This is the V4. Yeah, I know. They're up to V4 of the coiling kit now. The little V4 or the Coil Master coiling jig. This is the item that made Coil Master famous, by the way. We're looking at this, and we're also going to be looking at some of these things. This is pre-made Clapton wire from Coil Master. And Coil Master sent these round. This is Juggernaut coil. And this is staple staggered fused Clapton coil from Coil Master as well. I'm probably not going to vape in these, but what I'm going to end up doing through the video is getting some of this Clapton wire and sticking it inside this. This is my cleaned out, fresh out of the ultrasonic cleaner, Aromamizer Supreme RDTA. So I'm going to put a couple of Coil Master Clapton coils in here to see what they actually act like. So the only thing left for me to do is this. It's not hardware because you can't actually vape on it. So this will be an accessory review. Before we head down, there is some people out there that don't like Coil Master. And it's usually the elitist rich twats that have more money than sense that decided that spending $200 US for a lump of aluminium with a couple of wires and a button on it, which was the original Friday morning burning tab, which is what Coil Master based this off of. They decided that spending $200 for a lump of aluminium was a good idea. And more power to them. If they've got more money than sense, that's entirely up to them. However, these same people have got a nasty tendency of looking, you can see it on some of their review videos as well. It's like, oh, Coil Master, oh, they make clones, oh. Here's the thing. For all you reviewers out there that are too busy sitting at the top of your fucking ivory tower, espousing that you support the community, but the minute Coil Master's name is brought up, you instantly go, oh no, don't support them. Don't support them. A company who has done more to make sure that vapors can make coils effectively and, most importantly, safely. You're more interested in your rich toys than making sure the fellow vapors that you supposedly support are able to make safer coils. Oh my god. Okay, moving on. I had to get that rant out the way because it's been bugging me for fucking months now. Anyway, we're not looking at that. We are looking at this. This is the Coil Master version 4 coiling kit. I remember the original version 1 like it was only yesterday. The original V1 kit. I'm going to drop down the brightness here because this is way washed out. Hold on. Bring that up. Move that down. There we go. So this is the Coil Master version 4 kit. Comes in this little handy pouch. I'm just going to empty the whole lot out. And what we have here is the 3 heads, right? So this is the 4mm head and the 3.5mm head. We've got the 2mm and 1.5mm head. And then we've got the 3mm and 2.5mm head. Right, this is the twist heads. This is the main body, and these are the poles. The way this thing works is, each of these poles, if you've never seen the Coil Master kit, I'm just going to give you a full rundown of this, because there's some people out there that's never seen this thing before. Each of these poles is marked 1.5mm pole, which is the thinnest one they're doing, and the biggest one they're doing is the 4mm pole, right? Wow, that is tight in there. So there's the 4mm pole, and just to show you, I'm going to bring this out, zero it out, and then we're going to measure this. And as you can see, it is practically bang on 4mm. So the idea behind this is this, right? Let's say I wanted to wrap a 3.5mm coil for my Aromamizer Supreme. I would look at the top of these little fellas, and then I would get the 3mm pole out. Where the hell is it? There it is. So there's the 3mm pole. I would then get the main body of the Coil Master, unscrew the top, pop the pole into the top like that, And now we've got a 3mm coil master. Now the way this works, I'm not going to do it in this because I don't want to waste that, but what I'm going to do is show you how this works. I will. So what I would do is this. Get my 0.42mm wire, snip a little bit off, and I want to make a 10 wrap. I might not have snipped off enough. We'll make this a 5 wrap or a 6 wrap or something. Pop the wire in there, like that, so a little bit sticks out. Trap that with my thumb, then I'm going to get the 3mm head and then do this. Let's make this an 8 wrap coil. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Make it a 9 wrap coil. Give it a little tap just to make sure the coils are squished in, and then twist and pull. I'll put the coil back on again, straighten this leg up, and what you end up with, folks, with no hassles and no screw ups, is you end up with this. Focus out. You end up with a perfectly wrapped 3mm 0.42 9 wrap coil. This would come out at round about 1.2 ohms, I'm guessing. Yeah, 1.2 ohms this little fella would come out at. And that's the whole point of the Coil Master jig. There is very little difference between the version 3 and the version 4, right? This is the version 4 we're looking at. In fact, hold on. I've got the version 3 jig here. It's inside this thing, which is the DIY case. Gonna get this out. As you can see, it's the same body for the original V3, and they've even got this for the V3, so it basically all matches. However, the main difference is the top. Here's the V3 and here's the V4. The V4's got a slot groove done, and the whole idea with that slot is, instead of putting wire, like really thick Clapton wire, it won't fit down those holes. So the idea is, instead of trying to force the wire down there, that's what that slot is in there for. You basically get your wire, you put it into that slot, and you trap one end with your thumb, and then you wrap the other end like that, and then you start twisting. That's for the really, really thick Clapton wire, because as you can see, that's a very thick slot sitting in there. And that's the major difference between the V4 and the V3. The V3 was limited to what size of wire it could manage because of the two holes at the top. But because there's a slot sitting there now that can be used to trap the thicker wire, the new V4 is actually capable of handling much thicker Clapton than the original V3 was capable of. And there we go, folks. That's the Coil Master version 4 coiling kit. What we're going to look at next is some of the wire that Coil Master's been coming out with lately. This little package has got some of Coil Master's Clapton in here. I'm going to throw the focus out like that. That's Coil Master's Clapton wire. It's a 26 gauge core with a 30 gauge wrap on the outside. So it's rather thinner Clapton. There's the end of the wire there that you're seeing. But yeah, it's a little 10-foot spool of this stuff as well. And we're going to be using some of this wire and popping it into this tank. But before we do that, we're going to have a look at some other coils that Coil Master has came out with. This stuff is staple staggered fused Clapton coil, and this comes in packs of 2. They basically come in pairs. I think it's packs of 2. No, it's packs of 3. There we go. 3 pieces, it's packs of 3. Give you a close up of this. These are pre-made staple staggered fused. Pop one of these out so we can get a good close up of this. Here we go. Staple staggered fused Claptons. Now, they are not the best staple staggered fused Claptons out there. In fact, some builders look at this and they almost throw up. But the way I'm looking at it is this. Like the original V1 coiling kit and like the Burning Master 521 tab, what Coil Master is doing is they're bringing these types of high-end coils to the masses, because you can pick up these little fellas dirt cheap. So there we go, staple staggered fused Clapton. Put this back in the package so I don't lose the damn thing. And then we've got this, which is Juggernaut coil. Again, pack of 3. I'll open this up. These are zip locked at the top of this, by the way, so you can actually reseal them. Now, I've never seen a Juggernaut coil in my puff, but apparently this is a Juggernaut coil. It's basically, what it looks like is basically 2 very thin Clapton wires wrapped in parallel, and then there's been a flat ribbon wire that's been wrapped around that, as you can see, because if we look at the end of it, that's the end of 2 Claptons you're seeing there, and then those 2 Claptons have been wrapped around a post, and then this ribbon wire's been wrapped on the outside to hold it all together. So there we go, Juggernaut coil from Coil Master. This comes out at 0.2 ohms, so it's down low, 0.2 ohms for each coil. So if you're dual coiling with this, it'll end up going down to 0.1 ohm, right? The staple staggered fused Clapton, where the hell are they? There we go. The staple staggered fused Clapton is also at 0.2 ohms, so if you're going to put 2 of these in a dripper, it's going to come out at 0.1 ohm. I will warn you now, there is a lot of mods out there that will struggle to fire down at 0.1. If you have a yay chip, or you've got a DNA device, the Yeehees and the DNA devices can usually go down to 0.1. If you end up nudging the coil a little bit too much when you're installing it, and the ohms come out at 0.09, a lot, and I mean 3/4 of the mods out there will not fire down at 0.09, which isn't all that far off the 0.1 minimum. So be very careful when you're using those coils, folks. That's all I'm going to say. They are not for beginners. What we're going to do next is put some of this Clapton wire into this. This is one of my favourite tanks. This is the good old Steam Crave Aromamizer Supreme RDTA. So to do this, I'm going to have to bring this little fella back out. Another Coil Master product. That's the 521 tab, version 1. So I'm going to pull this out, pull out the deck. And then I need an Allen wrench to pull out these. So on steamengine.org, which every coiler should know about, it helps you figure out how many wraps to do for a certain ohm rating and a certain wire thickness. On Steam Engine there is a section on it which is called Wire Wizard. In fact, I'll bring it in right now so you can see what I've done here. The Wire Wizard allows you to input sizes of Clapton, right? Here's the Wire Wizard sitting here. So what we've got up here is Clapton wire, the core, which is single wire, and as you can see down at the base here, oh, hold on, I need to hide this first, don't I? On the package it says Clapton wire 26 plus 30. 26 is the inner core, 30 is the outer wrap, right? So 26 inner core, 30 outer wrap. And what we've got here is this core, single wire Canthal A1 round, 26 AWG. Wrap, single wire Canthal A1 round, 30, so 26 plus 30. There we go. Inner diameter of coil I'm going to use is 2.5mm, 6 wraps, and that'll come out at a resistance of roughly 1 ohm. But I'm going to dual coil this, so I'm going to be aiming not for 0.9, because I'm dual coiling it, I'm going to half that, so I'm aiming for around about 0.4 to 0.5 ohms, right? Doing the calculations, the ohm calculations for Clapton wire can be a little bit tricky compared to normal single strand wire, but that web page on the Steam Engine website is a very big help. So I'm going to just get some of this. Where's my snips? Hold on. I'm going to get some of this stuff. So how many wraps did that say? 6 wraps. We're heading for 6 wraps. So I'm going to hack off about that much. And I'm going to hack off that much. Then I'm going to tuck this wire back in here so it doesn't unravel. And pop that to one side. So this stuff, even though it's Clapton, as you can see, give you another close-up of this, even though it's Clapton, it's one of the thinner Clapton variants because it's using relatively thinner wire to make it up. But there we go. Coil Masters Clapton. It's pretty good stuff. There's a few gaps in there. But it's Clapton wire for the masses at a very reasonable price. So, 2.5. I need to dump that out and get the 2.5 pole out of here, which is this one. And we're going for 6 wraps. This should be thin enough to fit down into here. Yes, it is. Which is one of the good things about a slightly thinner Clapton wire. You can actually fit it into the hole in here. 2.5. Not that one. Not that one. It'll be this one. There we go. Am I going to have to pull that out? I shouldn't need to. Yeah, there we go. Perfect. So, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And we're going to nudge this last wrap over just a little bit more. So then I can pull it tight. Like that. Level the legs up. Well, that's a waste of wire. See, I've got a nasty habit of cutting off too much. Second coil. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Perfect. Pull that off. Straighten the legs up, and then we'll just bump it straight in to here. Wiggle it. There we go. Bend that up, bend that over, and we can start locking these down. There's 1. And there's 2. Get in there with the snips and snip off the excess. And then we pop in the second coil on the other side. Hack that off, that is way too long. There we go. Perfect. Bend that up, bend that over. Done. And it's as easy as that, folks. This is why I love these velocity decks. They are so easy to coil on. Snip that off. So what we're looking at here, 0.45. I was close. I was close. That'll do me. It's not too low, so it won't be an overly hot vape. Now, this is Clapton wire. Clapton wire is a little bit more tricky to bed in, but before you bed it in, we're going to have to straighten these coils out a little bit better. So that's that one straight. Twist it out. That's looking good to me. Now, I'm not going to be using the tab for this because there's no way a single battery will fire this thing. What I'm going to use is my rouleau, pop off the axiom tank, then pop this in. With Clapton wire, you want to slowly pulse it continuously, because what you're going to see is arcing between the Clapton cores, well, not cores, between the outer wraps, and I'm going to get nice and close to this so you can see exactly what I'm talking about. Keep an eye on those coils. I am going to fire this at a very conservative 35 watts. Keep an eye on those coils. Firing it now. See it? Where the hell's my tweezers? It's right there. It's arcing across the top. But the trick with this is, keep pulsing it. And as it slowly starts to heat up, 9 times out of 10 with Clapton, it will slowly start to sort itself out. So just keep pulsing it nice and slow. And if you don't see nothing happening after about 10 or so pulses, get in with your tweezers and give it a very gentle rake along the top. And look at that. Glowing from the inside out. Perfect. There we go. And that's Clapton wire, folks. Little bit pernickety to bed in, but once it's bedded in, it's a great set of coils. So what we're going to do now is wick this stuff. Where's my kendo? There it is. We're going to wick this stuff up, dump some juice on it, and take it for a vape. That's not enough, so I need to cut off a new section here. Scissors. Now it's only a 2.5mm diameter I'm using, so I don't really need a lot of cotton. So I'm just going to tease off this much. Pinch and twist. Then I'm going to hack that off. That'll do. And for all the people wondering, you've just seen for the second time the whole process of coiling and wicking the Steamcrave Aromomizer Supreme. It's been a while since I've done the review for this, actually. Pinch and twist. And there we go. So, we're going to hack this back quite a bit because we don't need too much cotton. We just need enough cotton to rest on the deck. That'll do it. So we get this. We tuck it under and over so the cotton is resting on the surface of the deck, and then we do the same with the second side. Tuck it under the coil and then push it in. So you end up with the entire deck covered with cotton, but the cotton's not being forced into the juice intake. This wicking method works with the Boreas as well, folks. Tuck it under the coil and then push it in. You'll end up with something that looks like this. The deck is basically covered in cotton, and there is space underneath the coil for the air to get into. And we're done, folks. What we're going to fill this with, we will fill it with some of this stuff. Surprised I've got some of this left actually. First of all, we'll soak up the Claptons. Just juicing and hitting it so the Claptons heat up, and because it's heating the liquid up, it turns it more liquidy, so the cotton sucks it in better. That should do it. Then we get the top of the tank and we fit the notches in like that. That should line up like this, and then we basically unscrew it using the tank. We then get the base, pop the base on, and we're done. And there's the coils sitting right there. See it? Through the air hole, there's one there, and there's the second coil there. And all I need to do now is close off the juice flow control. We're going to head back up to the main camera, which is really bright. Holy crap, hold on. Head back up to the main camera. I'm going to sort out the brightness first by doing that, and then we're going to fill this thing. I'm going to be popping a 70 VG juice into here. It's one of the T-Max juices actually. It would have been quicker if I just poured it straight in from the bottle, but I've got a nasty habit of over pouring, and I don't want to waste any of this juice because this is some really nice stuff. There we go, top filled it right up to the top. There is a little bit of space in there. We pop the cap back on and then we open up the juice flow control, and keep an eye on this level as it goes down. I'm opening up the juice flow control now. Yeah, all the juice is now spilling into the base section in here, and as you can see, that's about a quarter of the tank gone already. So there we go folks. Close off the airflow just a bit, get the vacuum forming just a little bit, and then let's have a vape. There's a little drop of e-liquid just around that side there. That's it. And here we go. Dual Clapton. Can probably run this a bit higher than that. Dual Clapton, 0.46 ohm, 40 watts just to bed it in, and we're off. Wow. Damn. Could probably get away with cranking this up even higher. $55 watts, practically 5 volts. There is nothing wrong with that at all, folks. It's almost as if you're drinking the juice again, though, because that is some seriously thick vapour coming off of that thing. For high-end, like high-end flavours, like tropical fruits, which is basically what I've got in this thing, it's very strong. It's very strong, and this is just normal Clapton. This isn't even the staple staggered fuse stuff. This is just normal Clapton for tanks like this. Tanks that have got dripper style decks on them. And of course for drippers, that's where Clapton wire and the more crazier wires like the Juggernaut that I showed you, like the staple stagger fuse that I showed you, that's when that type of wire comes into their own. And drippers, preferably good drippers like the Tsunamis, like the Goons, those kind of drippers. Or for tanks like this that have got dripper style decks. Tanks like this, tanks like the Griffin 25 that have got bigger decks that you can fit the thicker wire into, that's where the Clapton starts to shine. It really starts to shine in tanks like this. That's only at 55 watts as well. Such a good flavour coming from that. It's really good. A lot of people ask me, Vic, why don't you use Clapton all the time if you're coiling on a brand new tank that you're getting? And for instance, sitting up there, I have got the Coil Odeon, which is up for review next week. More about that when we have a look at the what's up later on today. The reason I still use micro coils like this kind of one, I don't use Clapton, is it would surprise you how many new vapors are watching this channel. It would surprise you how many actually are. If I start to confuse them by going into Clapton wire and fused Clapton wire and staggered fused Clapton wire and staple staggered fused Clapton wire, alien wire, vertebraes, juggernaut coils, I would put off a lot of the new vapors. That's why I keep it simple. Little 0.42 or 0.5 micro coil wrapped around one of these little fellas, which we had a look at, the Coil Master V4 jig, which you can pick up for about 20-25 bucks. And there we go, perfect. And there we go, folks. What else can I say? If you want to dip your toe into giving Clapton wire a try, right, but you're not sure you're going to like it and you don't want to spend exorbitant amounts of money getting either someone you know in a Facebook group to actually tailor make your own Clapton wire, you just want some generic Clapton wire to see what it's all about, head on to Coil Master's website or one of the Coil Master distributors. You can pick up that spool of 10 feet for practically pennies. And if you want to try your hand at making simple micro coils just with single canthal wire like I do in all the reviews, nip out and buy yourself one of these things. It saves you a lot of time and a lot of hassle, and more importantly, it lines up the coils perfectly, which makes it a much safer coil than hand wrapping it for your first time if you don't have a clue what you're doing. This does all the work for you. And there we go, folks. Big thanks to the folks over at Coil Master for sending these items over for review, and a special hello to